Hello, welcome to another day on the van. Today we're going to start on one of the biggest things that's going into this van, which is the underfloor heating. I'm going to be installing a system from VanLifeTech. It's called the Roman Holiday System, and it's a two-stage heating system. It means on-demand hot water, underfloor heating and air heating in one really easy to use system. It's one of the biggest elements going into this van. My mission while converting this van was to make it as comfortable as possible. I'm going to be living in this full time. I don't want to be getting back to a van that is freezing cold. This system is able to be controlled remotely from my phone, so when I get back, I'm back to a nice warm van. And for me, if my feet are warm, I'm really warm, so the floor being the source of heat is ideal for me. Put a picture on screen of what it looked like when it came in the boxes. There you go. It includes everything you need to get this floor installed, including the tools. Step one for me is actually removing this factory floor.
So while I get the factory floor out, I thought I'd just explain to you what the VanLifeTech Roman Holiday System is. A conventional air heater in a van uses a furnace to heat the air. This air continuously needs to be heated because it's escaping through the little gaps in your van and when you open the door, so you have to have that heating on quite a lot. With this Roman Holiday System from VanLifeTech, instead of heating air, the furnace heats a coolant loop which passes through your floor. It also passes through a heat exchanger to heat the air, and it also heats your water. It works as a two-stage heating system. So while your floor is coming up to temperature, which takes a minute, it'll actually turn on the air exchanger to heat the air first, and then the floor takes over. And the floor uses radiant heating, which means it'll heat all the components of your van, and once they're all up to temperature, if you open the door, etc., and the air escapes, the heat that is trapped in all the elements will naturally reheat the area the second you close that door, so you don't constantly have to have it on. It retains heat a lot better, which makes it a way more efficient system.
The floor is brushed out and hoovered out. First step of installing this floor is a layer that gets glued down, and before you glue it down, you have to sand the ribs of the van. So this kit from VanLifeTech also comes with the subfloor, which is basically the insulation you need. On the pieces is engraved like the position for them. There's a little map I've got to follow, and these pieces basically just go in onto our lovely clean metal floor. So you can see how this stuff is made. It's got some insulation in the middle with two pieces of ply either side, like a little wafer sandwich. So what I'm doing is putting it almost in place, marking the corner of where it's going to go to, just so that I know which area to put the adhesive on. The adhesive came with the kit as well. The subfloor is now in. Next up is a reflective foil layer to make sure that the heat from the heated floor comes up into the van as opposed to out the bottom. But this is a layer of insulation down and a structural floor. Nice. This is the foil sheet that goes above the subfloor. It's like plasticky foil as opposed to crinkly oven foil. Next up is actually the underfloor heating loop with PEX piping, and it comes as another kind of jigsaw puzzle. There's a lot more jigsaw pieces. You start around the perimeter, covering up the edge of this foil, and then you start putting the pipe in and work your way around like a snake, fitting the pipe in as you go. And I don't know if you can see here, but the boards have a chamfered like edge, and when you put them together, they create a channel for the pipe to run in, and there's a whole path for the pipe that does the whole van floor. All of the screw holes are already done, so you know where you put the screws. You're not going to go through the pipe. And again, the starting pieces for around the edge are all labeled, so you can't go wrong. So all I've done is roughly laid out the pieces around the outside. The tolerances are awesome. They basically exactly match the cutout on the floor below. So as long as I line up all these edges spot on, then it works, and it all does fit. I'm going to start screwing it down. I'm going to go this way around, and then when I get to here, there is something very special I've got to do before I secure that panel down. Okay, so I've gone around, everything fits, it's quite nice. This area that I mentioned before, it's special because in every build there needs to be a point in the floor where the heating pipes come out of the floor to reach the mechanicals that actually do the heating and the pumping and all that stuff. In my van, it's going to be here. This kit does allow you to put it absolutely anywhere along the perimeter. I need to put this piece here, which is known as the Keystone. You can see the two holes that come out. On the other side, you can see how it works. So the pipe comes in through this hole and then goes under the floor and sweeps out. When this is placed down like this, the pipe sweeps out and makes its way around the big snake. I'm not actually going to screw this down until I get the pipe in my hand and fed it through. These sit, so if I turn this upside down, this hole is going to go through the van and to outside to the heater and to the fuel pump and the actual pump for the system as well. And the hole's actually going to be that big. So I've checked with this position. VanLifeTech have done all the maths for you. This is about as far towards the wheel well I can get it on this van. This is a Citroen Relay, which is the same as a Ram ProMaster in the States. That's why it says ProMaster there. This leaves another little piece that I need to cut here. So I'm going to measure this gap and cut the piece out of what I have left. Start of the pipe will come in through here. That sits like that. You can see it will curve that way, which then comes this way. I need to put a 90-degree shark bite fitting on the end. This is the fitting. They're the easiest fittings ever made, I think. Push it on. And that's it. Half the Keystone is in. Next up, we have to get it into this channel, like so. Has to go there. I'm going to do this 180 corner. Let's see how well that goes. Once I've done a 180, it's essentially that. A long straight, a 180, a long straight, a 180, a long straight, all the way across the van. And then there's the return route that's included in these. You can see this chamfer along the edge that runs all the way. That allows it to return all the way along the edge and then head back. Look at that. So now all I've got to do is make my way back this way and screw in more pieces of wood. Good morning, it's a new day. We're left at this point. Let me explain to you how it all worked before I actually finish off the job. It starts there at the 90-degree angle we put on. It comes under there, bends that way, and then it follows the join, does a 180, follows the join, does a 180, follows a join, does a 180, follows a join, all the way until we ended up here where it does the last 180 and then it's against the edge. Runs all the way back. This is where we are right now. So all I got to do is make the turn through the second part of the Keystone. Stick my second 90-degree bend on. All you'll see is the two of those next to each other. So it's a huge area of heating. You can see how effective it's going to be when this is all working. I am so excited. Another tool that this kit came with, the pipe cutter. First thing I'm going to do is pressure test it. Got this little thing here. Okay. Just to make sure that I never ever screw through one of the pipes, I'm going to mark the lines on the back of the van. I'm going to do the same thing at the front. And once I've done the same thing at the other end, I can run a laser line at any time during the build. The next step is to run the foil tape they included over every gap that there's a pipe in. This stops any dirt or grime for going down there.
The tape also increases heat transfer as well as mapping the tube layout. If you don't pierce the tape, you won't pierce the pipe.
All the foil is on. That means that the insulated subfloor and the heated floor part of this build are done. Obviously, that's not the finished floor. I have yet to lay my finished floor on top of that. So this video isn't sponsored by VanLifeTech. All the opinions are of my own. But if you click the link in description, you'll find out more. And if you use code UKChris when you buy the product, you will get 5% off the entire system. The fact that I have heating pipes inside my floor in a van is insane. Consider subscribing to follow along as I turn this van into a tiny home. Next up will be installing the mechanicals, the sensors, and everything else to do with this underfloor heating system. I'm also going to start installing the lighting in the ceiling, so it's all starting to come together. I'm excited. YouTube thinks you want to watch this video on screen now, so check it out if you've got time, and I will see you in the next one.